Hey guys, it's your girl Deborah. Look at these hats that I've made. They're really, really cute. They have a long brim on them, so they come down really far. And when you fold them up, it makes them extra thick, so they warm for your ears. I made this one a couple of weeks ago, and I made this one just a few days ago. They are made just a little bit different from each other. I have an out stitch on here, and I have an inner stitch on this one. Both of them are made with variegated yarn, so it makes it work up really fast. And with a piece of scrap yarn I had at the house from previous projects to make the rim. These come together really, really quick, and I think you would love them. So if you're interested to see how I got these two hats to come to be, stay tuned. Let's get started with the video. Okay, let's make a magic circle. So we're going to put clusters of 3 in each one of these, and we're going to do 4 clusters. This is considered 2 because we had the one we started out with, so that's 2, and this one is 3. And after every 3, chain 1. Go back into the circle again, make another 3. Then after you make that cluster of 3, then you're going to chain 1 again. Go back into the circle again, make another cluster of 3. Okay, after this cluster of 3, you want to chain 1, and we're doing our last cluster of 3. Go back in with 3 more. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1. Let's take the little loop that's hanging and pull it tight to close our circle in. And this is going to give us our magic ring. Go into the top stitch and slip stitch it off. And we're going to chain, if I can get it through here, slip stitch it off, and we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Now what you just done with those chain spaces, you've built some areas to work in. 1, 2, this is a space right here with 3. This is a space right here with 3, and this is also a space right here with 3. We're building a square. So we're only going to be working in the squares. We won't be working in the stitch. We normally would work in the stitches, but this time we're going to only be working in the spaces to build this granny square. So we're going to put 3 granny squares inside of this one. And then we're going to chain 1 with that that cluster of 3. We're going to chain 1. Then we're going to go back into the same space. This is how you're going to make your corners. And then chain 1. Then you're going to go to the next space, which is going to be your next corner. Put another cluster of 3. Chain 1, another cluster of 3 in the same space. Chain 1, go to find the next space, another cluster of 3. This is basically the whole entire pattern is filling in the spaces that's open, the open spaces. 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, go back into the same space to make the other cluster of 3. Granny squares are very, very easy to do, and there's my go-to when I don't have anything to do. I just make up granny squares because you can make so many things with a granny square, like this hat we're finna make today. So these 3 right here, find the next space, which is right here, and this one makes it a little bit different, but it's not very much. So 1, and you're gonna put 3 right here, just like we've been doing. But and then we're going to chain 1. On this one right here, we're only going to put 2 because we have the one we started at the very beginning. This is the chain we started at the very beginning. So that's going to be our 3rd one. So you put 2 in this one right here. So there's 2 double crochets in there. And then we'll go to this chain right here, find this top one, go inside of it, and slip stitch it off. And you see your corners building. So all we're doing, let me chain 2. And all we're doing is working in between each one of the spaces. So you have your corner space, which you're working 2 clusters, chain 1. So you'll be working 1 cluster, chain 1, 1 cluster. So that's 2 clusters inside of 1 space. And then you'll start building the side walls by going into this with just 1 cluster of 3. I'm going to demonstrate it, and then I'm going to let you finish the rest. That's 1 cluster inside of this one, so that's 3. And that first double crochet is considered one of them. So it's 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and go back into this corner again and do the exact same thing we was doing in the previous corners. Okay, chain 1, and go back into the same space and build another 3 double crochet, cluster of 3 double crochets. All right, now chain 1 and then go back into the side space, and we're only going to put 1 cluster inside of that space. So that is 1 cluster, 2 clusters in the same space, 1 cluster. Then we go back to this corner again, we'll do another 2, and so on and so on. I will let you work it up, and I'll see you when I make it to this other end. Okay, you guys, we're coming up on our last corner. So we chained 1 already from here, and now we're going to go into our last corner. So you double crochet 3 times to make this cluster. Okay, that's 3. Chain 1, then go back into the same space to make this last corner. And then 1 more. Chain 1, and now we're going to connect to this to make another space. So you can find the top part of this square, go into it and slip stitch it off. And that made us another space. So that's basically this whole entire pattern to make this granny square, and we're only going up 4 rows. So we've done 1, 2, and 3. So you have 1 more row to go. So you're going to be working 1 cluster in each one of the side panels, and then when you get to your corners, you're going to make 2 inside of here. So 3, chain 1, 3. Then 1 cluster, and then another 2 in the same space. So I'm gonna let you work all the way around, and it'll be our last row, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the hat. Okay, we're coming up on our last one. And this is our last space right here, and we're gonna put 2 because this is the chain we started with, and that would make our 3. So let's put 2 double crochets in here to make this last cluster. 1 and 2. Then we'll go into the top of this one right here. Slip stitch it off, and that is it. We'll pull this all the way through, tighten it, and then you can weave in the string. But this is your granny square, and you will need 5 of them. And I've already done my 5, so we're going to get started on the rim of the hat. Crochet, I'm doing slip stitch. Feel free to do a single crochet if you would like, but I'm doing slip stitch all the way around each one, and then we will bring them in and crochet up the sides of each one to make the hat. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to crochet them up, and then I'm going to let you finish out the rest. Hook it on, and let's get started. So we're going to do a slip stitch in this. So we're going in the back loop, and then in the front loop of the one beside it. And then we're going to slip stitch it off all the way around. You can do this in single crochets if you would like. I just chose to do mine in slip stitch because I don't know if it's going to leave a lot of bulk, and I don't want it to, so I decided to go and just slip stitch it. But you definitely can do this as a single crochet. Get it from here. So we're going to take this all the way up, slip stitching it all the way down, and then I will see you when I get to the other end. Okay, we are coming up on this corner right here. Okay, so I'm going to take this corner and this corner, put them together, and I'm going to go straight into this top stitch right here. Use my yarn and slip stitch it off. Slipped out. It's my yarn and slip stitch it off. And continue on. Going to the back, going to the front. All right, I'll let you finish this and I'll be back. Okay, I'm on the corner of the top part of the hat. So I'm gonna show you how we're sitting. We've got a little L going on here, but if I pick it up like this, I could go around, and I'm just adding all of these panels onto the top part of this hat. Okay, so this is the panel. I'm gonna add this here, and I'm gonna take this around the top part of the hat, doing the same slip stitch all the way around, and I'll come along and I will add this one to this side. So I'm gonna let you guys do that, and I'll be back once I'm finished adding all of my panels. Now let's get started on our secondary color. We're going to make a slip knot, and we're going to chain 26. 1, 2, 3, 24, 25, and 26. And now we're going to take the second chain from the hook, which is this chain right here, and we're going to make a single crochet. And we're going to do a single crochet all the way down the chain. All the way down the chain, do a single crochet. Okay, we've made it to the end of our chain. You should have 25 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. The very first stitch, which is this one right here, we're going to work in the whole stitch. We're going under both loops. And And then once we do that and we go to the next one, we're going to be working the rest of them in the back stitch only until we make it to the other end. So we'll do 23 stitches in the back loop, but both of our ends will be done in a full stitch. So do this, and when you get to the end, before you do your last stitch, I will be back. Okay, we're coming up on our last 2 stitches. This stitch will go in the back stitch, and then this last stitch will be the both stitches. It'll be the full stitch. So take it up under both of them. This first one might be a little tight, but it'll get easier as you go on. Chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, at the very first one, you go in the whole stitch and then start back with back loops only. Okay, so on this end is full stitch, and on this end is the full stitch. A lot easier for us to be able to put the hat on here when we do a full stitch. So on both ends, do the full stitch, but all the ones in the middle, 23 of them, you go in the back loop only. Okay, we're at our last 2 stitches again. Go into that back stitch, and then we're going to take on the full stitch. And then chain 1, turn your work. That's the whole pattern for this whole rim. It needs to go up 60 rows. So I'm going to finish my 60 rows and I'll be back. Okay, so this is what your brim should be looking like once we finish. It should have a pretty decent stretch to it. Okay, now that we're finished, we're going to attach this. Go over here, close it off. We're going to do it with a same single crochet to close this off. Chain 1. Okay, we're going to go in the top loop and then the top loop on this side. And we're going to single crochet, do a single crochet all the way up. And that's going to close that all the way off. Okay, now we have our 2 pieces. This is sewn to up and it's already ready to go to be attached to this. This part right here is this little hat, and we're going to add our brim to this. So how I do it is I take the wrong side of this side, this is the wrong side, and the wrong side of this side, and I butt them onto each other like this. Then I go into this side over here and I take the full stitch. I don't go into the back stitch or anything like that. I take the full stitch and I go over here and I chain 1. Then I turn these into each other and I try to take the full stitch on this side and the full stitch on this side. It's 60 rows in this. So I try to hit all 60 rows, but I try to hit each row. And one of these right here, one of these humps is 2 rows. So I try to go on this side of it and on the top of it. Then I go in the middle, then I go on the top. Then I go in the middle right here, then I go back on the top. And I take this all the way around to make sure I try to hit every space, and I don't want any spaces in between my stitches. So I'm just going to do single crochets all the way around, 1 in there, 1 in the top of the hump, 1 inside of the ditch, and then 1 on top of the hump, 1 inside of the ditch, and 1 on top of the hump. And we're going to take this all the way around until you finish. You're going 1 in the ditch and 1 on top of the hump. Take it all the way around, and you're going to go all the way around, and I'll see you when we make it back here and we can get this hat all finished up. Okay, we're coming up on the last stitch. It's because I'm going inside this thing. So then I'm going to come over here to this part right here and slip stitch it off. I'm going to leave a little piece of string, cut it off, leave a little piece of string, pull, and then you just weave in this end. And that is pretty much it for our hat. Then you turn it on over to the right side. Okay, and now here is our hat, totally completed. We want to fold the rim up, and this is how our hat is looking. Get our tag. This is optional. And there is our hat. It's real stretchy, nice, and comfortable. If you like videos like this, consider hitting that subscribe button. Turn the notification bell on so you can be notified once I upload new videos. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.